This is section 8, writing linear equations with 2 points. Going through our vocabulary first, we'll notice here we have step 1. So you're going to have 2 ordered pairs. And the first step is to find the vertical change between the 2 points. Step 2, find the horizontal change between the 2 points. So the vertical change, that's going to be the change between your y values. And the horizontal change would be the change between your x values. And you can think of that as what those points would look like on a graph. Once you have those 2 changes, you want to divide the vertical change by the horizontal change. When you divide those 2, you are calculating the rise divided by the run, or your slope or your unit rate. Once you have the unit rate and slope, you're going to use it to go backwards to find your starting point or your y-intercept. So to remember to write an equation, you need a unit rate and a starting point. So 2 steps. Let's go through a couple examples. So our first example has some context here. The Jones family had 51 gallons of water on day 2 and 27 gallons of water on day 5. I'm going to go ahead and write these as ordered pairs. Maybe. So we had 51 gallons on day 2. So day 2 is our input, 51 gallons is our output, and 27 on day 5. So our second ordered pair is 5, 27. To find the horizontal and the vertical change, I recommend plugging this into a table. So our input of 2 and an output of 51. Let's see if I can write this a little nicer. And I'm going to bring it down here in the table and leave some space up above. So 2 and 51, 5 and 27. So this is my in and out table, and I'm trying to find that rate of change, how this is changing. So these are my x's and these are my y's. I want to find my vertical change. So 51 minus 27, which is a change of 24. And then I'm going to also subtract down 2 minus 5, and that is going to be a negative 3. And so as now, that was step 1 to find my vertical change. Step 2 is my horizontal change. Then I want to divide the vertical change by the horizontal change. And that would be a negative 8, or in context, I am using 8 gallons per day. So we want to be able to use that starting point, or our unit rate, to work backwards to find the starting point. And so the starting point is going to come from day 0 of an input in our in and out table. So we need to work backwards. What's nice in this table, I'm only 2 spots away from 0. So I can ask myself, at day 2 I have 51, day 5 I have 27. So as I'm moving down the table, I know that I'm decreasing, hence my negative unit rate. So if I want to work back up the table, I'd want to add 8 to get to day 1, and then I would add 8 again to get to day 0. And 51 plus 8 plus 8, I know that my partner here on day 0 would be 67. Now, sometimes we might not have day 2. We might have day 30, and we don't want a table that's a mile long. And so we need to think about what's the mathematics to work up the table in this instance. So what did we need to know? We needed to know that we were at 51 and we were 2 days away, and we were changing by 8. So if we can use that information, we could work backwards. So I'm at 51. I know to get up the table, I need to increase. So it's going to be 51 plus. How far away am I? I'm 2 spots away, and I'm changing by 8 each time. And so this mathematics here, where I'm at, I'm increasing to move up the table. 2 times 8, that would also get me back to 67. So just on a sidebar here, if you had a different table, and like I said, if you're 30 away and your output is 250, how could you find 0's partner? And let's say our slope again is 8. Well, you can say I'm at 250. I need to move up the table. I'm 30 spots away, changing by 8. And so that work, you can work back up to 0. All right, so again, that information there was a little sidebar. Let's finish out our equation, because now we have our unit rate and our starting point. The final equation for example 1 is y equals my starting point of 67 minus 8x, where x is the days on the trail, and y would be the water remaining. Let's try example number 2. So we do not have context for this story. We simply have our 2 ordered pairs. Step 1 is to find that unit rate. So again, I recommend placing this information in a table. So I have an input of 4, an output of 2, input of 9, and an output of 17. So step 1, find that vertical change. So 2 minus 17 is negative 15, and 4 minus 9 is negative 5. Now, you can get in the habit of simply subtracting down the left and the right side of your table. However, you can notice that 9 and 17, they're both bigger than 4 and 2, so you could subtract up. Just make sure that you do the same on both sides of the table to keep your final slope the right sign. So dividing the vertical change of negative 15 divided by negative 5, I'm going to have a positive 3. And again, if you would have subtracted up 17 minus 2, you would have got positive 15, and 9 minus 4, positive 5, and then you divide. What you can't do is subtract down on one side and subtract up on the other, because your sign would be wrong for your slope. So with a positive unit rate, I now need to find 0's partner in the table. And so if I'm trying to find the partner for 0 in the table, I need to work up to get to 0. So I'm at 2 right now. I'm 4 spots away. This particular problem as I go down the table, I'm getting bigger. So to go up the table, I'm going to subtract. So I'm at 2, and I know I need my partner to be smaller up here with 0. So I'm going to subtract off. How much I've been changing is that I'm 4 spots away, changing at 3 each time. And so then 4 minus 12 would give me a negative 10 output partner with 0 here in my table. And so then my equation would be y equals negative 10 starting point plus 3 times x. And that would be my final equation. So using those 3 steps, you can continue now to practice writing the equations through 2 points.